Hey there! Did you hear about the massive asteroid that's coming our way? Well, it's this. It's a BENU Astrogem, and it's based on an asteroid. I was contacted by Kate from BENU, and she said, "Hey, yo." I said, "Hey, yo." She said, "Do you want to review one of our new Astrogem pens?" And I said, "Absolutely," because I really like BENU. And the reason I like BENU is that it's a brand that does original things. And BENUs, they're not for everyone. I fully accept that. The way they look, their materials, I mean, there's a lot going on. And I love that because it's different. And to me, that's worth it. So, very kind thank you to Kate, to BENU for sending me this. In fact, they sent me two. I'll show you the other one when I tilt the camera down. I'm going to cover the parts of this pen. I will do a writing sample. I'll tell you what I like about it and what I don't like about it. Let's get started. Okay, so here we go with the BENU Astrogem. Now, I was sent two, which is very kind and generous. I will show them to you in just a second. But what I wanted to do first was talk a little bit about the pen. So they come in this box. It's a BENU box, nice cardboard. I really love that because that means you can recycle it. There's a standard international long cartridge in it, which is quite cool. That it can take the long cartridges, not just the short. There is a product information warranty booklet in it. This padding is also paper, so if you don't want the box, you can just recycle it, and I absolutely love that. And there is this sort of pen sleeve, also cardstock, so there is minimal waste here. The pens, I'll just whip them out and I'll zoom in a bit, and then we'll talk about them for just a second. Now, the really big question is, where's the other one? Here it is. Okay, so here we have the Echo, and then here we have the Pallas, and that's P-A-L-L-A-S, not P-A-L-A-C-E. Okay, this is based on, and I cannot pronounce this properly, Oumuamua asteroid. I hope I said that correctly, which is kind of oddly shaped, edgy, uneven, and that is what they try to do in the pen, which I will show you in just a second as we go over the parts. Screw-on cap, can be posted, acrylic resin, Schmidt No. 6 nib in steel, fine medium broad, and the MSRP is 175 US. Here we see the pen right next to a Pilot Metropolitan. Whoops, a Pilot Metropolitan that was almost off. So you see it's pretty much the same length, but it's a bit girthier. Now, I think the blue shows up a little bit more nicely on camera, so I'm just going to continue with that one, if you don't mind. Let's talk about the parts of the pen. So, as I rotate it, first of all, look at the overall shape. So it's a faceted model. You can see these facets catching the light, right? So I think that is quite interesting, quite nice. This they come in various different finishes, including a number of finishes that I obviously don't have here, so look online, see which finish you like best. This, I thought the dark blue is quite attractive, blue and black, and then this other one is kind of also a nice, it almost looks like a nebula to me, with that color and that shade, so it's quite nice. Then you have all this sparkly material in it, right? It's kind of a silver color in this model, and then more of a gold in that model, and a bit of golden green actually. The facets, I think, are quite cool, and I know that these pens are not for everyone. As I said before, it's a specific shape. It's not a classic design like something like this, which we'll get back to in a later video. But I think they're quite cool. So we have those facets, and note that the facets on the cap and the barrel actually line up really pretty well, and that's the case for both of the pens I was sent. So I think that's a really nice sign, attention to detail. Top of the cap, we have the finial. Finial is the same material as the rest of the cap. Again, notice the very interesting shape of that cap. And then we have the clip, and the clip is actually spring loaded. So I don't know if spring-loaded really is the right term in this case, but I mean it works very nicely like that. Barrel, so pen cap, sorry, barrel tapers down, larger cap, narrower end, so it looks quite balanced to me, even though you have those interesting facets. The end here is just, again, same material. We can uncap the pen, takes a couple turns, and then we have this very interesting section. Now, just in case you want to see the section on the other model, that one is black. I personally think that this blue is quite nice because it's translucent. I think that's pretty neat. We have the section, tapers down, flares out a little bit. We have somewhat of an edge there, a bit of a step down, but quite a long section with threads. These threads, I feel them a little bit, but given that the section is so long, once I hold the pen, I really have no issue with the threads. I do feel this step down a little bit, but to me it's not enough to be annoying. Schmidt number 6 nib, so number 6 is nice. I think it's certainly in proportion with the rest of the pen. Steel, plastic feed, and in here is the converter, Schmidt converter that came with it. And I always really enjoy this, but you can actually screw that. I don't know how to do this best. You can actually screw this shut in one go, which has absolutely no function, but I really like it. Larger pen, right? Good size, and if you want to, it posts very securely, and then it is even bigger. So I'm going to do a writing sample just because I don't want to bore you to death. I'll do a writing sample with one, but I'll do a very quick bit of writing with the other one. So here we have the BENU. This is the Astrogem. The ink is it's a Royal, what's it called? It's Fountain Pen Revolution. I think it's Royal Flush. It's a blue that reminds me a little bit of Konpeki from Iroshizuku. And this is the medium steel nib. I don't like this posted. It's a bit too bulky near the end for me. There was a skip there. Nice nib, pretty smooth, does exactly what it's supposed to do. Lazy nib, why not? There was a skip here and there, absolutely. I do have the feeling it might be the ink a bit. It's a bit of a sheening ink. In normal writing, not at this speed, honestly, I haven't really had any issues with either of these. Fairly wet. As to line variation, it's acting up a bit. It's really acting up a bit. It just doesn't like this, does it? Not advertised as a flex nib, and it starts to railroad quite quickly. This is the most issues I've had with this nib, because honestly, out of the box, it's been great to me. So I wonder if it's maybe the paper, or like I said, if it is the ink. I'll just do a quick sample with the broad one, which is the one of the two that I've used the most. And that one, so this would also be Astrogem. Another sheeny ink. This is also FPR, and I completely forget what this is called. This is a purple, it was something Mardi Gras related, I think. It's kind of a purple with a green sheen. So here too, I find that with sheening ink sometimes you get a bit more skips, hard starts. Is that your experience too? He asked, hoping for comments. This is the broad nib. Very nice performance overall. So overall, really, in normal writing, I haven't really had any issues. So I don't want to misrepresent the pens, but you've seen that it could skip a little bit. Overall, I really like them. So let's discuss likes. Oh, I forgot upside down writing. How could I forget this? This is such a common thing. Okay, reverse writing. Gets scratchier, but you get away with a couple of words, I think. So, could be done. Now, let's discuss, for real this time, likes and dislikes. What do I like and what do I not like about this pen? Well, there's a lot to like for me. Again, kind of like what I was alluding to earlier, say what you will about BENU, but the pens are interesting lookers. I was just posting this off camera. I mean, there is a lot going on with these materials. There are facets and sparkly glitters, and there are interesting colors in the materials themselves. This one is quite dark, so I don't know how well the camera picks it up, but it's not just black. It actually has black and purple and blue, and there's all kinds of things going on, which I think is quite nice. The facets, I think, are very cool. They elevate these pens. Facets on pens, some people love that, others don't. I quite enjoy it. I enjoy faceted pens, and I think one of the interesting signs of a well-made faceted pen is that the facets line up as well as possible. Now, typically you have a cap slightly larger diameter than the barrel, so it's not always easy to do it perfectly, but I will say this is really quite impressive in my mind. So I think that's another very nice touch, good eye for detail. They're good writers. Schmidt nibs. It's nothing fancy, it's a steel nib. I really like that BENU has adopted number 6 nibs, not just on this model, they've been doing that for a while now, but I think that's nice. Just a little bit more visual appeal than the number 5 nibs they started off with. Schmidt nibs are reliable nibs. They're simple, unassuming steel nibs, and there is nothing wrong with that. They write well, and that's what you buy a pen for. They can sometimes be a little bit dry. I have found that these are not particularly dry, so that's quite nice. The only other thing that I would say is at the current price, $175, that's the MSRP. The street price probably going to be a little bit lower. They're not super inexpensive. They're right. You get a steel nib, you get a cartridge converter filled pen, but I do think you get something that looks really neat, and I think that is definitely worth something as well. Now, as always, whether that's worth it for you, that's a whole different matter. But overall, I think they're very well made. They're certainly a lot of fun, and these are conversation starters. I mean, they're very interesting pens that will definitely start a conversation or two just based on the way they look. And I think that's a very interesting aspect to these pens too. BENU pen, whip one out and people start a conversation. I've seen it happen with this one where someone asks, oh, that's an interesting looking pen. Conversation starts. Stupid illustration, but there we are. It actually happens. So I think that is very neat. And there we are. So I think they're very cool. Again, they're not super cheap, but these are also not made in batches of 10 million a piece, right? So that you have to take that into account. And then looking at how the facets line up and all that stuff, attention is paid in how they're made. So I think it's quite impressive. I hope that was useful, and I'm glad to see you later. Bye!